What stuff is the world of the soul actually made of? The spiritual world in which your eternal individuality lives is a sphere of highly subtle ethereal matter. Like sounds, light, sense or music, it consists of rays, vibrations or waves. You are a being of light, consisting of waves or vibrations, as we had already discussed in the broadcasting exercise The Fiery State. Such a creature naturally lives in a world made of waves or vibrations. You can imagine the subtle world which exists around you and saturates you, like the mysterious element ether, for which scientists and occultists have been searching for centuries. A very, very fine substance in which the objects of gross matter, so to speak, float. Or think of a glass filled with sand. That is the material world. Now you pour water into the glass. That is the subtle world, which surrounds and permeates everything. Let us take this idea further. The ethereal matter of the subtle world takes on concrete forms. Picture the subtle world around you similar to a hologram. That is like a structure made of matter, but of such a subtle matter that it is intangible. The only difference to a normal hologram is the latter is at least visible, while the subtle world consists of even finer matter, so that it is invisible, like vibrations and waves. The Greek word hologram means, translated, image of the whole reality. Therefore, it is perfectly correct to use this word with regard to reality as a whole, which consists of matter and spirit alike. Thus, when we speak of a hologram in the following, we mean a subtle entity, a body made of light, waves or vibrations, which floats in space, penetrates you and exists around you, which is not visible but can be felt. Your being of light is a hologram, as we had already discussed in the broadcasting Bring Your Soul to Life. Your subtle environment is also a hologram. This hologram, the spiritual world in which you are living, is created by you yourself, as we shall now discuss. We had already discussed in the broadcasting the supermundane world. Everything that exists in the higher world is created by our own thoughts and feelings. Your eternal individuality is created by your own thoughts and feelings. You are what you think. Likewise, the world of the soul is created by your own thoughts and feelings. This applies to your existence in the higher world after death, as well as to the plane of being on which your soul lives in its world already now, during the earthly incarnation. The fourth dimension, the spiritual world, the heaven around you, is built by you yourself. This is the scientific background of the key message of Schopenhauer, about which we had already spoken so often. In the same environment, everyone lives in a different world. Like in a computer game, you create your own virtual world with your thoughts. The world, which is in contact with each spirit, is an expression of his own striving. If you want to participate in the life of the higher world, you have to consciously shape the fourth dimension. Some soul world is always existing around you. Mostly, however, it is a disordered, chaotic, senseless world, as in your dreams. Your task is make a beautiful hologram, a paradise, out of your subtle environment. That sounds fantastic. How can I shape the non-material world around me and make it a radiantly beautiful place? You create this hologram not by technical means, such as a projector, but by your spiritual power. How should I fancy that? You project your psychic energy into space and thus build a hologram, a form of light or vibration. This structure of subtle matter is a spiritual reality and comes into being already through your imagination. We are dealing with a seemingly fantastic phenomenon. In scientific language we say, material things made of dense matter you form with your hand, with apparatuses or other physical devices. Subtle things you form with the power of your spirit. Here is a point of immense importance. The matter of the spiritual world around you is so subtle that it is subject to the influence of your thoughts. It is so ethereal, tender and fine that it is worked on, formed and shaped, not with gross mechanical technical means, but with thoughts and feelings. Hard to believe. How can I conceive this in practical application? Let us look for an example. The teaching speaks of an experiment with a kind of mobile, a so-called thought harp. Threads hanging from the ceiling are being moved by the power of your thought. Thought can move bodies and solid objects. Likewise must spatial thought operate. For example, One may point to experiments already performed many centuries ago. To the ceiling of a dwelling were attached many threads of different thicknesses and colors, and then, bringing the dwelling into a state of tranquility, thoughts were sent out. The so-called harp of the spirit began to vibrate, and it could then be noted how certain thoughts affected threads of a definite color. Then it was possible to observe the impact of thoughts sent from afar. People do not believe that strings can resound in response to currents of thought. If such material objects as threads and strings are subject to the impact of your thoughts, you can certainly conceive that subtle spirit matter around you can all the more be influenced by your thoughts. Another example we had already discussed: the aura and the protective net which surround you are created by your thoughts and feelings and fed by your psychic energy. Why then should you not be able to create and keep alive around you other larger ethereal entities like a hologram? You project your psychic energy into space and thereby erect a subtle construction which you may regard as an extension of your aura. Saturating space with intensified thought, we clothe aspects of our striving with a particular form. Thus, out of elemental matter, we create the desired form. This structure remains near the place where it was created and is fortified by our thoughts. The eye of a child or a refined consciousness can perceive this formation. We also remember the impact of the glance. The science of quantum physics confirms that we influence the smallest particles of matter just by our gaze. It has been proven that electrons are affected by the mere act of observation. The gaze of a developed man acts on living beings. Even under the lens of a microscope, small creatures begin to feel uneasy and to sense the currents of the eyes. Accordingly, much finer particles, the subtle atmosphere around us, is just as naturally subject to the influence of our thoughts and feelings. We also had talked of the experiment of densifying the astral body. Likewise, you can picture the hologram as a consolidation, a densification of your thought world. Each thought which saturates space produces a form. Can you give a practical example from daily life? In the exercise Living in the Continuous Presence of the Teacher, you visualize yourself as a disciple at the feet of your teacher. Thereby, you project such an image into space, and thus shape your subtle environment.